Hello world. Remember me, Sofia? Well, today I wanted to have like a little chat. Well, it's not really a chat because I'm talking to myself. That's okay. About identity. This is really important to me because I identify as an Afro-Latina woman. But that identity only kind of came about like recently, like I'd say within like the last 2 years, because I was a little not confused, but like unsure whether that identity fit me. See, technically, I don't know how to put this. So my grandmother on my mother's side is Mexican, and she married a black man. And I feel like that's not like usually the like crux of what like Latina is supposed to be. I feel like it's supposed to be like someone who like my grandma is Mexican and she's like a mix of like India and like European. So like she's not Afro-Latina, but the fact that she married a black man and made my mother, who was then black and Mexican, who then married a black man and made me, who was also black and Mexican, I was like, I feel like an Afro-Latina. But I had confusion, and I was like, am I really though? Because all the definitions that I understand are like, you know, coming from a Latin country with African roots. And I was like, but technically that's not me, but technically I am black and Mexican, so why can't I call myself an Afro-Latina? I don't understand. Now, no one was really fighting with me on this. It was like more an internal, like, can I identify myself as this when I've only ever seen it as this, you know? So finally figured it out, and I was like, well, fuck it. I'm black and I'm Mexican, Afro and Latina. Look at that. Bam. Done. Identity had. But then, you know, I know what I identify as, and then there's other people who look at me and think like, oh, she's Dominican, or oh, she's Puerto Rican. I've been asked if I'm everything under the sun. I've even been asked by an Indian cab driver if I was Indian. I was like, sir, do I get a free ride to the airport if I say yes? No? Okay, no, I'm not. I didn't actually ask that, but I thought that for sure. But I was like, no, I'm not Indian. I've been asked if I was Ethiopian. I was like, I feel like they have a certain look, and that look is not this. No. I've had random homeless men be like, are you indigenous? Like, yes, sir. I can see it. Me too. I was like, congratulations, brother. Great. We're both indigenous. Awesome. I've been told I could like look Middle Eastern. I was like, I just want to be what I am, which is black and Mexican. And I live in New York, so I get a lot of people coming up to me on the street speaking Spanish. Luckily, I do speak Spanish, and I can help them with the directions. It's like a little secret power of mine. I'm like, I'm not Dominican, but I can tell you where to go in Spanish. But then it's also like such a confusing world we live in, or I live in, because I didn't really grow up with like that Latin influence, except for like, I mean, at least from my mom's side, who was the actual Latina person in the relationship, because she didn't grow up like that, because my grandmother refused to teach her Spanish because she grew up in the 50s and all her cousins spoke Spanish and didn't really speak very well in English, and my grandma was like, nope, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna speak English, you're gonna go to school, and you're not like, she didn't know Spanish until much later in life. And then on the other hand, my father, who is just a black man, and I say just with all the pride in the world, he's the best. Just does not mean, oh, he's only black, oh no. But he is only black. But he grew up in the Bronx, surrounded by people of like different backgrounds, of Jewish culture, of you know, Latin culture, and so he is very much in that mix, and he speaks Spanish, and he made sure that we learned Spanish, and he spends a whole lot of time in countries where brown people speak Spanish. Those are his words, not mine. So I'm like, I don't, my whole world is just so confusing, but also so clear to me that I am just Afro-Latina. And that's great, and I'm glad I came to that conclusion. But I've always wondered, like, would other people of color or Afro-Latina Latin people feel that I fit in to their view? Like, what would I identify with them? And I don't have some of, like, the same history and the same stories and growing up on, like, arroz con pollo and all that stuff, because that just wasn't my upbringing, even though I feel like I identify, with that culture and all that stuff. It just wasn't baked into me as a child. So I'm like, how do you see me? Do I fit in here? Do I care that you don't see me the way I see me? So, everyone kind of has to come to their own conclusion about what their identity is, and, stop trying to have people put us in little boxes, or, like, stop thinking about what their box is, trying to fit into their boxes versus, like, I'm gonna make my own fucking box. So that's it, I guess. Tell me your thoughts, feelings. Do you identify with something you don't necessarily, that other people wouldn't necessarily identify you as? Let me know. I don't really have any viewers to, like, comment on this. It's okay. I'll just talk to myself some more later.